Thanks again, Jessica, for the introduction. And again, we are very excited and happy to have won the E&E Product of the Year award. Our chief scientist, John Davenport, is joining me to tell you a little about our story and technology and why it will bring a important impact to buildings and people's lives across the world. So I like to give you a little bit background about the InFocus and also our parent company, EnFocus. We've always been a leading LED lighting innovator and manufacturer for mission critical organizations since 2007. We are based in Solon, Ohio, and the products that we make are being used in many organizations, like from the U.S. Navy to large healthcare organizations, educational organizations, and even foreign Navy ships, all mission critical applications. And we're very proud that we've been innovating in the LED lighting space over the past 15, 20 years. Just a little bit background about the company overall. Our foray into the LED lighting, again, spearheaded by our chief scientist, John Davenport, who has been in the lighting industry all basically his life and has many, many inventions, as you have seen from his bio, over 125 patents so far. So back in 2003, we have won a $10 million DARPA contract to develop the next generation lighting with the U.S. Navy. And from then on, we have put our first LED light in the U.S. Navy ship around 2007, and we got into the commercial space in 2010. And ever since then, we have been innovating throughout the past 15 years in the LED lighting space. And today, we are still the primary LED lighting provider to the U.S. Navy fleet and many other organizations, as I mentioned earlier. Along the way, we have a lot of inventions, and we pioneered the LED lighting industry in several ways. In 2010, we had the invented the IntelliTube, which you could actually work with or without the ballast when you replace the fluorescent lamps. And we also launched the RedCap, which is the emergency backup, battery backup integrated LED tube in 2017. And fast forward to 2020, when we launched InFocus, which won the award. It is the first true breakthrough in lighting control platform that would enable existing buildings to provide dimming and color tuning capabilities at a fraction of the cost and complexity versus other alternatives. So I'll let John talk a little bit about what InFocus is all about. John?
Sure. Thank you very much. First thing I want to say is I'm only here representing a great team. We have a fantastic team, engineering and R&D team, who've actually done all the work. See, this is real. I get a phone call that I've got to mute. And right, they do all the work. And they have really done a great job on this. And I can't really say too much. I guess the second thing is to observe when I was listening to you talk about the U.S. Navy, that, yeah, sure, we wanted to deliver performance. We wanted to deliver reliability, and we did for the U.S. Navy. We wound up on every ship in the U.S. Navy and still are. But the thing that we learned really in that experience was the idea of retrofit. We started out by wanting to change the fixtures on board the ships, take a clean sheet of paper, right? And it turns out that that's not the way to go about this, that even the U.S. Navy has a budget. Can you believe that? Even the U.S. Navy has a budget, and they have to pay for these installations in the energy savings. They want to save energy, but they can't to use less fossil fuels, which they're doing. They're on a great program, but they couldn't do it with replacing the fixtures. We had to develop a retrofit idea, and when we did, the sailors could change the light bulbs, and the whole equation worked. And the rest, as they say, is history, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's a
So
great
let's get to this product. So this is a retrofit product. We're taking in that same idea. We're looking at applications in particular where folks are interested in to be able to get some of this great new LED technology. You know, when I was at GE 150 years ago, I'm kidding, a while ago, we used to get, the marketing folks used to get us to, engineers and scientists together and say, you know, let's dream about what you can do. And in fact, one of the things we dreamed about was, well, it'd be fantastic if you could change the color of a room. And in those days, we just laughed. But now you can. And in fact, it can bring great wellness benefits. We'll hear about it a little bit later. But what we're doing now is our idea is to bring it in to fruition in a way that you can afford, in a retrofit way that you can afford. And we have two products, right, in this family so far. One is a dimming only product, and those are the lamps in gray. And the other is dimming and tuning. And it has a range of 10 different dimming levels, 10 different color levels, which really takes you through the gamut. We provide voltage capability of 120 or 277, whatever you have. It's a low flicker. Again, that's important in terms of your health and well-being. We've found out over the years. And the idea of long life and reliability, all those things are built into that product.
Yep. And I want to add, like what John was talking about, the ability to manipulate the lighting spectrum was only possible after the arrival of LED lighting. So it was not even possible, or remotely commercially available 10 years back. So this is a fairly new technology, and I think with this technology we're introducing, it will be able to make the color tunable capability everywhere. So I like to just talk about the benefits of this system, and then John will dive into the technical aspect of it and how it works. But in a nutshell, as John mentioned, flicker-free or low flicker, and there's really no so-called flicker-free, but it is considered flicker-free at our level. And we've always been a pioneer and advocate for low flicker lighting. Flicker has proven to cause headaches, migraines, and many other health issues, and it's a largely ignored and neglected issue in the LED lighting age, because a lot of LED lighting comes with actually pretty serious flickers, and we've always try to avoid that problems. We pioneered with the first company that received the UL certified low flicker certification. So our lights, the InFocus platform, provide flicker-free light, and also more than 50% energy reduction versus fluorescent. But it also provides additional energy savings through the dimming capability. Usually it's been proven dimming could save another additional 20 to 30% energy. So you're talking about, combining with the, 50% or more reduction, it's close to 60, 70% or even more on energy reduction. We also provide 10-step dimming capability. So you have, from 100% to about 10% level. So it could be customized for your personal comfort and convenience and productivity. And on the DCT series, it adds the color tuning capability. So it has all the benefits of the InFocus DM, which is the dimming only tube solution. And it also comes with 10-step color tuning. So it ranges from 2700, which is very sort of yellowish. It really has, it make you calm because of the the yellow or redder spectrum of light, versus 6500, which is a lot of blue spectrum of the light and keep you alert. So it's a pretty wide spectrum for customers to choose. And again, it's circadian ready because with the ability to change the color temperature and the lumens, you can actually adjust the light level and the color temperature to suit the circadian rhythm throughout the day. And we'll talk a little bit about circadian rhythm and the significance of it. So John?
Yeah, so we've heard about the color changing, and there's a picture. That's only showing 10 different colors in the range. And the one on the left is 2700, and the one on the right is about 6500. So it's a very smooth range in color. And you can imagine the dimming is similar. We have a very smooth range in dimming. We have a video on the web, which you can get to from our website, or you can just go to YouTube and search on Energy Focus, EnFocus, and you'll pick up that video as well. The thing that really allows us to do this is it's a retrofittable solution. And you might think, well, if you wanted to just change light output, why not just do phase control? They're all over the world, right? Just use a triac phase control. It's probably on your wall at home. The problem with that is it chops up the power lines. It's a very intelligent thing to do, invented about 50 years ago. And the idea is that you just cut back on part of the voltage. But the problem is that puts holes in the power line, and it's not really good from the point of view of the power company. It ruins the THD and the power factor. And what that means is that the power company needs more power or more current to deliver the power that you'd like to have. So that's really what the problem is with using the standard approach. Other approaches include taking into account 0 to 10 volts, for example, adding extra wires, or adding or even high frequency RF transmitters, putting them in the lamps. And we see these solutions. They're not a very simple solution. We'd like to use the idea of 2 wires. And that's where the fundamental idea of this, we're actually we're taking the idea of the switch, which is 100 years old. And instead of switching slowly, we're switching quickly, very rapidly. And those switches on and off are so rapid that you cannot see the light change, and can act as a signal, which provides the communication, a digital communication, a digital signal to the lamp. And that means not only can you change light levels, but you can do anything you want at the lamp. You can change colors, and how that became possible very simply. And as a result, the installation is easy. Just change the light bulbs and the sockets, and you and the wall switch, and you're there. So you could, the whole point is you can utilize the existing wiring of the buildings, and it becomes a very simple retrofit.
John, did you see it?
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, I've got it. I've got it. It, sorry, there are
No
two
problem.
slides. It works in buildings with either 2-wire or 3-wire. This is another important factor because wiring in buildings can have the neutral present at the switch box, or it might not be present. And the codes have only recently changed. So grandfathered in are these 2-wire systems. Well, EnFocus has to work with those systems, and it does. Unlike wireless controls, we don't produce high frequency signals, so there's no real risk of hacking or cybersecurity. We're not really talking to the network, and we're not producing signals that leave that local room. They're only on the power line itself. So it's very secure. And it's really the most affordable and accessible way of getting what we call circadian ready capability into a room. And of course, we talked about the idea of low flicker, preserving how important it is to preserve low flicker.
So I will just talk a little bit more about why we believe that EnFocus is also the most sustainable lighting control system ever. And the reason, as John has mentioned, you don't need to put in additional wiring, and also it's a lamp switch system, so you don't need to replace the whole fixture. And that has a tremendous impact over the years of the life of the LED lighting system. So the main point here is that we are able to, number one, maximize the energy conservation during the dimming. As I mentioned, you save an additional 20–30%. And we believe that our CO2 reduction is about 55 to 86% compared with a fixture-based control system. And the reason is that most control systems today will require you to have to replace all the whole fixture, the whole lighting fixture, instead of our system where you can just replace the lamps and the switches. And that also results in 7 to 50 times less material at the disposal, because you don't have to replace the whole fixtures. And as you can see that the graph here on the left hand side is the carbon footprint equivalent. Compared with integrated fixture, it's between 7 to 8 to 50 times less material produced. I'll also let John talk a little about the, how do we stack up against other competing control systems.
So it stacks up pretty well. If you're looking for an in-room solution, I think EnFocus really hits all of the bases. We talked about the problems with phase cutting. We talked about adding extra wires with 0 to 10 volts. We talked about the hazards of just dealing with wireless communication and hacking, right, for example. We don't have any of that with EnFocus. It's utterly simple to install, and therefore significantly lower costs from the point of view of retrofit installation. You don't replace the fixtures, and it happens very quickly. It's safe and secure, color tunable. I mean, we've realized the dream. It's really cool. And being able to bring it to everyone. Energy savings, James talked about that, tremendous energy savings. Preserving the integrity of the power line, absolutely important, and we do it. Universal voltage capability, and whatever wiring situation you have, 2 or 3 wire, neutral or no neutral, it works. So if you're looking for an in-room retrofit solution, EnFocus is the way to go, we think. I mean, we're a little biased, but we think so.
Yeah, we also want to emphasize that, if you look at the cost comparison between EnFocus with other, either wireline or wireless control systems, our estimate is that we cost about 1/3 to 1/8 of any competing control platform, which is why we call it the HCL, human-centric lighting, for the 99%, because it's truly now you have an affordable control system that every building could afford. So why is that important to be able to, manipulate the lumens and the colors of the light? Because our body have evolved over the past millions of years to have an internal 24-hour biological clock based on the revolution of the Earth around the sun. And you can see that we are experiencing different spectrum of light throughout the day, from the dawn to the sunset, on the right-hand side. So you can see that the color temperatures start to rise from very low, yellowish, reddish light to, towards the noon time, you will have the highest color temperature. At the noon time, the color temperature is almost approaching 10,000. And so it's very bright, very glaring light. And towards the sunset or near the dawn, you are talking about color temperature between 2,000 to 3,000. So that has been a very important trigger to how we work and how we sleep. The lighting is actually a catalyst to move your biological clock. And so when our artificial lighting is not in sync with the external the sunlight, that's when the problems, health problems, and a lot of issues come about. And it is compounded by the fact that people spend almost 90% of our time indoor. So in the, if you remember, 100 years ago, 200 years ago, people just don't spend that much time indoor because the lighting is limited, right? And nowadays people spend 90% of the time indoors. So the quality of lighting becomes very important because it's literally replacing the function, the circadian rhythm function provided by sunlight. How HCL stands for human-centric lighting. How when we talk about human-centric lighting, it's basically all the impacts that lighting could have on human biological functions. And it has both visual and non-visual effects. The visual side is very easy. You can see light, right? But there are actually non-visual effects as well on our body through particular circadian rhythm mechanism. Actually, the scientists that discovered how the mechanism work actually won the 2017 Nobel Prize. And so you can see that this is a fairly new science, and the ability to actually improve human well-being through lighting is fairly new. That's why EnFocus is such an impactful technology, because it started to, you can start introducing the positive impact to people, a lot more people, because of the ease of the system and the affordability. So through the lighting and non-lighting, the visual and non-visual effects, you can create physiological and psychological benefits or impacts. And you're basically, lighting actually creates impact in 4 aspects. One is the temporal pattern, which is when you actually perceive the light. As I show, throughout the day, the lighting spectrum is actually different to trigger your circadian rhythm. So that's temporal pattern and the timing of the light. And then you have the light level, which is, could be adjusted through the dimming system. And the light spectrum obviously is how we do color tuning. In a different time of the day, you have different type of lighting spectrum you can manipulate through our system. And the spatial pattern is basically simply where you are in the space when the light comes in. When you're in the corner, when you're in the center of the room, you perceive it differently. So those are the main aspects of how lighting could impact our overall well-being. So because of the alignment of our the lighting with our biological clock is so important, the circadian rhythm disruption could have a big impact on memory, emotional response, and attention. And we suspect a lot of the current health problems are caused by the misalignment of circadian rhythm because of the improper lighting spectrum and volume people are having when they are indoor, which again is 90% of our time. As I've explained, through the very timely dimming and color tuning capability, you can achieve optimal circadian wellness, right? And that's what InFocus allows you to do, to control the light level and the color spectrum. And usually a rule of thumb is that, if in the morning, in afternoon, when you need total concentration on your work, you want the light to be stronger, to have a higher color temperature. And when you approach the afternoon, late afternoon, your body needs to start getting rest. And at that time, you need to suppress the melatonin. And the suppression of melatonin is highest with high color temperature, right? And so in the afternoon, during the evening, you want the melatonin to come out. So you need to have a lower color temperature environment, so your melatonin can start secretion. Start the secretion process. And so that's the usual rule of thumb, but obviously they are, everybody is somewhat different, but that's a general rule of thumb that you could do to improve your circadian wellness. And there are countless studies showing, how this circadian lighting could impact workforce productivity. As I mentioned, morning blue light and afternoon red light could promote alertness for office workers. There are studies, many studies that have shown improved productivity. In this particular study, it shows about 20% improvement on productivity. That's huge. And I'll illustrate a little bit later why that's so important. And in this particular study, employees were 30% calmer and 10% more focused than their colleagues in the rest of the office without circadian lighting. Students also show improved learning capability and performance. In this particular study, shows about 33% higher in performance of students under circadian lighting. Again, those are pretty astounding numbers if you think about, annual global productivity increases of 1%, 2% range. Improvement of 20%, 30% is pretty significant, and it's only you can do that simply through circadian lighting. And so to quantify the impact, there's a study, a general rule of thumb in the real estate industry shows that people spend, commercial buildings in North America spend about $3 per square foot in energy, total energy, and $30 for rent and $300 for personnel cost, right? So, if you look at the energy efficiency story, that's the $3 you're looking at. Obviously, the sustainability is important, and that's what we are all doing here to reduce energy usage. But the $3 is versus $300 is 100 times difference, right? So if our lighting, which is about 20% of that $3, which is about 60 cents, if we can reduce energy by 50%, let's say, we're saving about 30 cents, per square foot. While if we can impact the productivity by just 1%, that's $3. That's $3 of impact, bottom line impact to the organizations, and that's 100% of the energy savings. And if we can really start saving, improving productivity by 20% based on the studies, you're talking about $60 per square foot, which is 200 times of the financial impact on the organizations compared with energy savings from the lighting. This is why we are very excited to be able to introduce InFocus to really create unprecedented impact on organizations and truly civilization overall in productivity. and you're talking about potentially 200 times difference of impact versus energy efficiency. And this is why we want to say that we are excited about bringing human-centric lighting to the 99%, which is means pretty much all the buildings out there. And I'd like to, John, why don't you summarize the sort of the advantages and impact of InFocus and for everybody.
Sure. I think the fundamental advantage, it's really simple. It's a very simple way to get the benefits of being able to dim the light source and be able to change its color without any additional wiring. It's safe and secure from hackers. It preserves the power factor and has low harmonic distortion, which means that the power companies and the building manager is going to love this. It's much lower cost to install, and we talked about only a fraction of other approaches. And it's really the most sustainable and affordable lighting control that you can get versus what's available. I think it's the kind of solution that I'm really very excited about being a part of. And I know the whole engineering and R&D team feel exactly the same way. So.
Thank you so much, John. And yeah, we are very excited to introduce the system, and love to see this everywhere in all the buildings and buildings near you and in your building. So thanks for your time. And again, please check out our website at energyfocus.com and check out more about InFocus. And we love to hear from you. Thank you very much.